It seems over the years, DSLR photography and mirrorless photography and phone photography, that gap is getting smaller and smaller. And what I've got here to show you today, it's going to almost bridge that gap. This stuff's amazing. Now, I've been taking low light images with my phones for a long time now. I absolutely love doing it, especially with the iPhone. And realistically, the downside of doing this with the iPhone is that you have to use the main camera. So you've got that fixed focal length, and we have to use that because of the lower aperture, letting in more light with the main camera. And sure, we can add external lenses onto our phones and it will give us that wider field of view on the iPhone. But realistically, again, those lenses have generally been a little bit softer around the edges. So today we're talking about the sharpest lenses I've ever seen for phone photography. These are the Shiftcam Ultra lenses. Shiftcam have come up with this system that uses flourite in the manufacturing of these lenses. And if you're not familiar with what flourite is, it's a naturally occurring substance. It's got some of the best clarity in any sort of lens manufacturing. In fact, Canon use flourite in some of their highest tier L lenses that they have on the market. You can buy these lenses for like $20,000. It's incredible. And because it has near perfect light dispersion qualities in flourite, it helps to eliminate chromatic aberration, and the contrast using these lenses is quite bloody good as well. But what these lenses do for star trail photography, that's what got me excited, and that's what I agreed to review these lenses for you guys. All you need to do is look at some of these images and you can see the clarity of these things is just bloody amazing. I haven't been able to replicate this with any other lens that I've had to test on this channel ever. They've brought this technology to a range of 7 lenses, a 16mm wide, a 200 degree fisheye, 1.33 times anamorphic, 1.55 times anamorphic, a 60mm telephoto, 75mm long range macro, and the traditional 10 times macro. They've also got 2 filters here, a CPL and a variable VND filter. I've used these 3 lenses for star trail photography using even longer, and the results are just bloody amazing. Even longer, nice and sharp stars, all the way to the edge of all these images. Absolutely wrapped with how these things are. How do these things feel? Well, they feel like they're well built. They're glass, fluorite, and some sort of alloy, aluminium, maybe aircraft aluminium, something like that. There's a little bit of weight to them, but they're not too heavy. The phone case that they've supplied, it's made of like a hard rubberized sort of plastic. I've had this thing on the phone since I've had the lenses, and I use it now. Normally I'm taking covers off and on my phone because they don't feel that great, the lens ones, but this doesn't. This feels pretty bloody good. Mounting these lenses is dead set easy. It's a screw type mount, but the screw is a smaller screw mount to other screw-in mounts that I've used. That's a tongueful. They're normally about 17mm or something like that. I think some of the other ones like Reflex and Sandmark and the other ones that use the screw mount lenses, these ones are smaller than that, so the case is not interchangeable and the lenses are not interchangeable between those cases. But it mounts nice and snug, nice and well fit. It just works. It's all about the clarity of these things. I've sat there and taken the photos at the same distance of the door at my shed, and look at the clarity on the edges of these. This one here is the Telephoto. The clarity at the edges is near perfect. There's the wide angle one. Again, the clarity is near perfect. And the only one that's got a slight loss of clarity is the fisheye lens, but let's be realistic. Any fisheye lens from any manufacturer to go on any phone is usually going to lose a lot more than what this one is. So they're onto something here. It's the sharpest and most clear fisheye lens I've used. Let's talk pros and cons. Pros, these things are super crisp, nice and clear all the way to the edge. The most clarity I've seen from a lens so far, personally. And I've tested a few, as you know, here on this channel. In fact, when these guys contacted me first, I said, why would I do it? It's just another lens. They told me it was going to be clear. They didn't lie. On the money, it's clear all the way to the edge. The proof is in the pudding. Pros, the case of this, for this here, this is the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and they sent me one for the iPhone 14 Pro as well. This is not an obtrusive case on this at all. Normally, the camera bump on lens cases is quite big, and it's a bit of a pain. I've had this thing on my phone since they've sent me the lenses, hasn't come off. It's not intrusive at all. I can throw this in my pocket. It feels light. It feels rugged still. It's a good case. I would use this case even if I'm not using the lenses. It's a good case. Let's talk cons for a minute. Cons for me is that there's a couple. I'm not going to tell you it's all beer and Skittles, because it's not. Some of these things you may not be able to get around. You may not be able to get over. I certainly can. It's not that big a deal. But cons, the thread is really small. It's smaller than the other ones, like I said before, and that's no big deal as long as you can see what you're doing. Now, for most of the photos that I take is out in the dark, so it can be a little bit finicky to find the beginning of that thread. It's not a big deal. The more you use it, I'm sure the easier that will get. Con number 2, the glass on these lenses is so clear, every little bit of dust, every bit of finger smudging, all that sort of stuff will show up on these lenses like nothing else. So you're going to have to, and you should anyway, let's be honest, bring a lens cloth with you. Cons, I don't know what these cost at the time of recording this here right now, but I know they're going to be expensive. They're probably going to be up on the higher end of what lenses cost these days. I think it's going to be between $100 and $150 each. Now you might think that's horrendously expensive, and it is expensive, but it's also, these are also the best that I've ever tested here on this channel. But even though I don't know what the price of these are at the time of recording this, I will put it down the bottom there in the link in the description. Also the link of where to buy these things from. I'm taking some pretty amazing photos of the night sky clarity left to right across the whole frame just because of a piece of glass. And that is a bloody good bit of glass. Anyway guys, that's it for me today. I'll catch you later.